Well, yesterday we briefly told you that Samsung is recalling the Galaxy Note 7 due to batteries catching on fire. The news broke right before our show started, so here are a few updates. The problem occurs when you're charging the device. There have been reports of around 35 battery fires, which is estimated 24 in a million, or 1 for every 42,000 sold. Starting immediately, Samsung has stopped sales of the Galaxy Note 7. They will also voluntarily replace current devices with new devices as early as next week. Customers can replace the phones with another Note 7 or with a Galaxy S7 or a Galaxy S7 Edge, and they'll get a refund for the price difference. So I'm guessing that they know which battery factory the burning, flame-inducing ones came from. Otherwise, they wouldn't be replacing them with the device next week. But they're not saying what battery factory it came from.
No, exactly. I mean, firms like this usually outsource the batteries to a variety of different manufacturers. And what it seems like in this case is that the quality control was such that there will be very small particles of metal floating around inside, which could short the battery out and cause the fire. Now, Samsung's actually been very smart and taken a quite bold move in doing just a blanket recall, because it could have been more nitpicky about it, as we've seen with other firms, and say only this battery and this battery and this battery numbers, and then people have actually got to find the battery numbers and try and take the backs off their phones. So rather than annoy customers, they took the very expensive step of just stopping sales and recalling the lot. It's a move which is, as I say, gutsy. It's going to cost them a lot of money, but it's a great firefighting move for minimizing the amount of damage that this kind of recall can cause.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge recall. It comes at a really bad time for them. You know, they showed off this phone. It was fancy. It was wonderful. And now when everyone's griping and grumbling about the potential for the iPhone that they're going to announce next week having no headphone jack and just not as good, had just a device that you might want to make you switch to Android. So I don't know. This is a horrible time, and not a great time for just smartphone sales in general. So.
No, I mean, we've kind of reached a level now where it's that we kind of reached with the PC market maybe 10 years ago, where processor speeds are now such that the old argument that you have to replace your phone in order to upgrade and get better speeds out of it is no longer really valid, because they're fast enough that you can do pretty much everything that you'd want to do with them. The exceptions to that is virtual reality, which is why Google is getting a whole new range of phones capable of VR. But Samsung should really have been in good position to mop up from Apple's mistakes. If, as seems highly likely, Apple is going to dump the headphone jack, then that's going to really annoy a lot of people, particularly if they can't make a pressing case for why you should do that. So Samsung needed to be in a position where it could capitalize on disaffected Apple users, and this has come at just the wrong moment. I should imagine that certainly some phone lines in South Korea were turning blue when the news came through. But they've taken the difficult step to do a complete recall to maintain consumer confidence, and I think that actually should be applauded.
If I were to write a movie, I definitely would have this as a plot line, because, I mean, Apple was looking bad all week earlier this week with all their tax issues. And then now we've forgotten about that already. So maybe there's...
Yeah. Oh, I know. The Apple tax thing just made me... particularly as Apple is one of the firms which is complaining that, there aren't enough STEM graduates coming out to supply demand for technology. Well, maybe if you paid your damn taxes, we'd be able to afford schools which could graduate good STEM graduates. But no, it's just like, oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. It's nothing to do with us, paying a 0.005% tax rate and getting away with it. Right. The Irish government was just like, no, they've paid the proper rate of taxes. And you think, wow, you're really letting your citizens down, aren't you? It's, I mean, I've got a lot of Irish friends and they tend towards fruity language. And I say there have been a certain amount of obscenities ladening the air in Ireland when they realised quite how much Apple was getting away with.
Well, yeah, now they're getting away with more because they're like, look, those batteries are on fire. Look over there.
Yeah, exactly. Don't look behind the curtain. The great and mysterious Oz will deal with you later. It's just, it's one thing after another. And you do feel for Samsung because they really can't catch a break this week. But, it's part and parcel of the industry. We've had mass battery recalls with the laptops. Pretty much every laptop manufacturer has had to do a battery recall at some point or another, and it was only a matter of time before it came to smartphones. I think part of the problem is that nobody is designing smartphones with removable batteries anymore, or at least very few people are.
Right.
Samsung used to be the leader in that field.
Yeah, well, maybe a modular phone would help.
Exactly. I mean, seriously, if we had a modular phone and there was a battery issue, all you got to do is send back the battery. Job done. I mean, the one saving grace of the exploding Samsung phones is that, as you say, it only occurs when they're being plugged in and charged, which means that hopefully, touch wood, nobody is going to be walking around and suddenly, with a phone in their pocket and suddenly suffering groinal burns. That's the disaster scenario for a lot of people, and it certainly makes laptop users very nervous when they hear that their laptop could catch fire. But if you've got it plugged in and charging, it's likely to be away from your body at the time. But it's still a fairly high failure rate. I mean, those numbers do not look good. And I suspect a third-party manufacturer is going to find themselves, A, paying Samsung a lot of compensation, and B, never getting an order from the firm again.